on. All right, should be good to go. All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. My name is Liam Hydrisney Keneally. Today we have probably the most exciting guest so far. We have Remy or Mint Blitz. If you haven't heard of him, then you don't have social media and you don't enjoy Halo. He is probably the most well-known Halo content creator at the moment, especially if you're Australian. You've definitely heard of Mint. He's over 104K subs on YouTube. And I think between all the other things, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, you're sitting somewhere between just over 10K and about 25K. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's about it, yeah.
So the numbers are stacking up. But not only that, he's probably the first Halo content creator to create a niche specifically that he fits in. That's a single lane with one swimmer in it at the moment. And it's going to be really enjoyable to have a bit of a chat with him, get his idea on content creation, but also get to know him a little bit more outside of the gaming side of things, get a little bit of an understanding of what his goals are going into Infinite, and just kind of really pick his brains and get into it. But Remy, was there anything I missed there? Anything else people should know about you before we start?
No, you pretty much hit it nail on the head. That's good.
Awesome. Yeah, I was saying before we started I was going to find it hard to do that because in my head I'm like, he's the best Halo content creator. Like that's all I really wanted to say.
First take, no mess up, so good job.
Yeah, we'll take the wins. But yeah, we'll kind of start with everyone is, have you always been a gamer, or is it something like since you were young, or is it something that kind of came in later in life?
Well, Dad was a tradie, and he always liked gaming on the side for some reason. It was always his little getaway from work, because when you do like 12 hours manual labor, the last thing you want to do is do more manual labor when you get home. So he kind of used gaming as a way just to sit on his ass and chill when he got home. So yes, we had PlayStation, and I guess, yeah, I was just raised on PlayStation stuff. And then obviously when an Xbox came out, then I went straight to Xbox, Game Boy, Pokemon, that sort of thing. Yeah. Really any sort of like gaming console, not Nintendo, surprisingly. I never really dabbled into Nintendo, and I know that's like really popular. Never played Zelda, never played Mario Kart. We had Crash Team Racing on PlayStation. So, but yeah, always been a gamer. Always loved playing games. I guess I was always a bit of a tryhard from the get-go, because Dad wouldn't get me a new game until I 100% completed the game I already had. So I guess that's where that comes from in me. But yeah.
And that's why you've invented the extra 1% at the end of it now. These wonderful things that you're doing. But I guess before Halo, what games were that you're playing? So like Crash Team Racing, a little bit of Pokemon. What are some of the standout games when you were a kid that you enjoyed?
So we had all the Crash series, all the Spyro series. Spyro is probably like the number one childhood game I played. I had played Pokemon Gold, Silver. A guy down the street gave me my first Game Boy Color because he got a Game Boy Advance. So then I got a Game Boy Advance. I got Pokemon Sapphire. Played the absolute hell out of that. What else did I play? And then the Xbox came out. I was like, how old was I? I got one when I was like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
But I'd played it like at other friends' houses before that. Like I'd go to his house every single day. We played Halo. We played Time Splitters. I don't know if you've played Time Splitters. No, Time Splitters is
what is
such a good game. What else was there?
What is Time Splitters? How does it work?
So it's basically a arena shooter. It has a story mode where you have to go through time to popular locations and stop these like time traveling like enemies. I guess you could call them demons if you would. Yeah. So I want to call them that. And you have to just go through all the time and like fix time. It's a shooter. But the custom games, it had bots actually. It had CTF 12v12. It had Slayer 12v12, 4v4, 8v8.
Wow,
it had infection, and when you infected them, all you have to do is touch them. If you're an infected person with a knife, and they like all glow green, like smoke comes out of them. For a game that came out in 2000 and I don't know, 3, 4, it was insane. And then they did a follow-up of it, and it was even better than before. It had speed runs built into the game, so you could you had gold, silver, and bronze for how quickly you could complete the missions.
Wow!
It honestly
I can't believe I haven't heard of it.
And I couldn't believe how many features it had. I honestly feel like Halo had so many features taken from that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was hugely popular. But yeah.
And then so you were lucky enough to start with Halo CE as your first Halo?
Yeah, my first one. I hated all the flood missions. I would usually play up to Assault in the control room, and then I would stop playing. And then I'd do 2 betrayals. I didn't like the library, Guilty Spark. I hated keys with a passion.
Yeah.
I guess because it's kind of horror themed, unlike the other games.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. How old were you for Halo CE?
C came out in 2001, so I would have been about 7 or 8.
Yeah.
It was good for the time. Looking back at the game modes I played, I was kind of a noob. Like we would just play Prisoner King of the Hill and drop down to the hill in the middle like a mosh pit and just kill each other with an assault rifle over and over again. And I thought it was amazing. Now when I look back, I'm like, I found that fun. What is wrong?
Yeah.
I was a kid, so.
Well, I loved that until I realized how much more fun it was to stand outside the hill and shoot everybody else that's inside it. So, but I feel you on that. So Halo CE, when it was Halo CE, it was just some custom games like you were saying then, and the campaign that you kind of kept playing through. When did multiplayer come into it?
So we had Halo 2. We were still doing LANs then. We'd had everyone in the neighborhood coming over, which was always a lot of fun. Dad would play. He would get angry and want to chuck the controller because we would just no mercy beat him into the ground.
Yeah.
So he stopped playing after that. Halo 3 came out. He took me to the midnight launch. That was really awesome. We didn't have broadband then. Like you living in Australia, you would know like not a lot of people had broadband internet. Even like 2010, no one really had. It was all like dial up or it was dial up for the longest time. So my friend down the road, Brendan, actually got broadband. So I took my Xbox down. We updated it. Had like weeks worth of updates to do because the internet speed was just so slow. And then first day, 2009, 2008, 2009. Played Halo 3 for the first time. Got to like a 15 in Lone Wolves, and the next day I took it home. I got to a 44 in Lone Wolves, and I was like, wow, this is pretty fun. You used to go up like 3 ranks for a win if you kept winning, which was really, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
It was good.
So you got to 15 on the first day of multiplayer, took it home, and then the second day you got to a 44. Dude, so like that in itself, I don't, because people around the world might just be thinking about that and being like, all right, cool, whatever. But there are like 3 game modes in Lone Wolves in Australia that you just can't win. Like it's just, do you remember swords?
Yeah.
Like free-for-all swords, that was just like you had to plan on stick people, I guess. Oh my god, it was wicked. So the fact that you did that in like a day is pretty awesome.
And then I got a new Xbox and actually gave me host every game. And I got a 50 in Team Slayer in like 2 days. Because obviously, if you're an Australian on host and you're versing 250 ping Americans who can't aim on 30 FPS, they can't really do much.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
That's so awesome. And so, okay, well, obviously you were a talent then, like straight off the bat. As soon as you started playing, you understood the mechanics of the game and what was kind of happening. Was there like a memory of like the first clip you hit that made you start going, hang on, I want to do that again?
Honestly, the only memory I have playing the first day is I played the training game mode. There's like a training mode you could play, like only new accounts could play on the very first game on the Xbox. I don't know if you remember that. Yeah, it was like boot camp. I don't know what it was called, but we were playing Construct Slayer on that. And I was like, oh, this is pretty easy. I enjoy doing this. And then what else was it? It was something else came out. Oh yeah, Campy's montage came out. And I was just blown away. And even like Anoj's top 10s came out. I was blown away at some of the clips. I was like, yes, I want that sort of content. How do I get to that point? What do I have to do? And until now, still grinding to get stuff.
Have you gone back and watched any of those top 10s or anything recently?
Yeah, he re-uploaded them because they all got taken off Machinima. So I went back and watched a lot of them. I wasn't as wowed as I was when I was a kid, but no, they're fun to watch.
Yeah, I guess that's the natural progression of a game that's been out for as long as Halo 3 especially. But yeah. I remember like for me, I didn't play Halo 3 until I would have been 18 or 17 or something. So that was a long time ago now, 10 years ago. And I watched those clips and was blown away by them. And then now I can hit clips like that and they don't mean anything. You know what I mean? So it's a crazy way the world's going, unless you're like, you know, doing the stuff that you're doing, or Ishii with the ridiculous 360 no scopes, or the ricochets, or your Fat Rat, or, you know, any of these guys that are just doing the most insane stuff. But yeah, it's really cool though that Campy was your like I guess motivation to get into it.
It was honestly a mentor. Like, even like he started me streaming, started me doing YouTube stuff. Back in the day on the YouTube algorithm, someone popular with a decent following liking your video got you 1,000, 2,000 views right off the bat. So just Campy even liking my videos, it was like a DM system.
Yeah.
And like he would talk, he's like, all right, I'll drop you a like on this. It should get you like 2K views, it should get your channel started, and should help you build stuff up.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a big deal back then, because if you liked it, it popped up on the feed. Then people could comment on it, comment on the video, watch the video from that. And yeah, that's how I got my channel started. And then Twitch, he rated me when I first started streaming. Like, he kept on rating me with 200 plus viewers. So
wow. And
then like, obviously I watched the way he played. I watched the way he would interact with his chat while getting multi-kills, what sort of content. And obviously I made montages for a long time, but then it became unreal. I was burning myself out doing montages for the longest of time. So, and I guess that's kind of how he felt too, because he did montaging and he was like king of the mountain for years and years and years. And that's exhausting. But I think anyone who does montages nowadays, it's hard going. So yeah,
for sure. I think I remember there was a time there, especially like Halo, around the beginning of Halo 5, I think you were doing like almost a montage a week.
Yeah, I was. And that was dumb. I guess it's a learning process, and it taught me how to edit things really well. So that's invaluable experience anyway. But if looking back in hindsight, and again, hindsight is 2020, I would totally diversify my content, just do like Warzone gameplay stuff, one montage a week still, but more of like a highlight sort of video. Obviously, I can come back and say a million different things, but it worked out. I got over 100K now, so yeah, in the long run, it might have taken me a bit longer, but I got there, so I can't really complain too much.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, you're in a really good place with all the content now. And one of the things that I always talk to any of the guys that are involved with Divine Mind and new recruits is just having that kind of bundle package. And I remember that's one of the things that stands out to me the most about you, is that for someone who was like typically a montager, that was like the niche that you were in before you started doing these campaign things, you were like the only person that also had stuff on TikTok, that also had stuff on Instagram, you know, that was you know, that was doing all these things. Who was it? Like, when was the idea to start doing that diversified content and making sure you were using all the different social medias?
Yeah, so the overall stigma of being a montager is they're generally disliked by a big core of the community. And that's just the reality of, obviously, you're going for clips in a social game mode predominantly. There's going to be people who aren't a fan of that because they just want to chill. They verse a montager, they get absolutely stomped, and then they're just like, oh, why do I have to verse that guy again? And I totally get that. It's a completely fair assumption. That said, I wanted to, I guess, brand myself as not only someone who gets multiplayer stuff, but I wanted a community of people that I could upload whatever I want and it will do well. Because often I've seen with channels, and this is not just Halo, they'll do either just Halo, or they'll just, as soon as they go outside of Halo, channel dies. They'll do multiplayer stuff. As soon as they do anything campaign related, dies. They do custom game stuff. Whenever they do multiplayer stuff, because they only do customs, fun customs, dies. So I wanted to build up a core audience that I could upload whatever I wanted, campaign, multiplayer, new update, news, anything I want, and it will still do well because I've been uploading a variety of stuff. And that took like 5 years of just trying to do different stuff before it actually took off. MCC PC was the start of that. But yeah, it took a very long time to, I guess, lose that perception, because I was known as a montager for ages. And even like now I see like posts on Reddit and they're like, oh, I love Mint Blitz's stuff, but there's a little like vocal minority who say, yeah, but he's a montager, fuck him, he's a montager. And I'm just like, well, there's nothing I can really do about that. So yeah.
I think, would you say that that is the entire community, or do you think that the Australian community is stronger in that sense, especially because you're so well known as an Australian player?
Well, it's pretty much the same. I mean, if anything, the Australian competitive people are pretty happy that I'm just bringing views to an Australian scene, full
Yeah.
stop, because it's so small nowadays that I think they're just appreciative that they get like a traffic into that area. And yeah, the broader community is like, I see nowadays, like the biggest evidence I've ever seen of that I've actually like, oh, like, yes. And this is the other day that I've made it, or somewhat made it. And I don't like saying that, but I comment on a video. I commented on a RuneScape video of all things. And these guys are like saying, oh my God, it's mint Blitz. And that's not me tooting my own horn, not having an ego or anything. I was genuinely shocked that people like recognize me outside the Halo community. I found that awesome. So yeah, I think the Halo community, for the most part, I guess any extra views that come into Halo is a good thing.
Yeah.
That's the way I view it anyway.
Yeah, no, I think that's the way it should be. Is there, that kind of leads me into a question I've just always been curious about personally. Is there a reason why you never took up the competitive side of things and kind of stuck more towards the content creation stuff?
Well, I'll put the question back to you. What content would you be able to sustainably upload every single day that's competitive?
Okay, but so from your focus
that isn't repetitive.
Yeah, so your focus, even when I ask that question, is about making sure that there's content to create around it. So
exactly.
So for you, it was always the thought, I want to be a Halo content creator, and that's what I want to do.
Yep.
Not so much that you want to be a really good Halo player.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, because I got the ceiling of where I'm at now, and I'm happy with that. But realistically, if you ever want to be a serious competitive player, you have to live in America. Full stop. End of story. The Australian players know that you can't be the #1 best player in the world living in Australia. It's impossible. It's not realistic, and you know that better than most. Like you're in the competitive scene. You've seen all the Australian guys, as good as they are. They've never placed top 2 ever. It's never happened. So I was like, well, I don't want to leave Australia. It's a wonderful place to live. No offense to America, but I don't want to live there. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, my option was, what can I do to make a full-time career out of something that at the moment isn't really popping off is the thing. Like, what can I do that hasn't been done? And then, as you said, I went to the campaign stuff after that, because as the MCC PC games came out, I did CE for a while. I did Halo 2 for a while, 2A, 3, 4, Reach, etc. Then when all the gameplay was done, I was like, all right, well, my views are going down. And I noticed that my views were going down from the multiplayer stuff. It was just a slow trend because the interest wasn't there, because the games they're not new games. They've had their release. What do you do to reinvent yourself? So I'm like, all right, we'll throw in some campaign stuff. Campaign has a lot of nostalgia behind it, has a lot of fond memories of people as kids. And the one big thing as to why Halo isn't popular nowadays is because it isn't in mainstream content. It's very niche. And I was like, how can I get it into the mainstream? All right, well, you got the YouTube algorithm. How can we manipulate that to kind of get it into people's sub boxes, mainstream stuff, and get the quote unquote normies? And that's not a negative connotation at all, but just people who wouldn't usually watch Halo but might be interested by it. How do you get it to them? How do you get it into their sub boxes? So it's kind of a bit longer answer than you expected, but
no, dude, that's perfect. Don't ever hesitate, because that's the whole purpose of this podcast, is to give people value. And the fact that you had that process of thought, but then acted it out and actually did it, is super impressive. Because you're so right. Like, people lose track of what's important in content creation, and that is that you want somebody to be able to see what you're doing. Like, if you're hitting the best clips in the world and uploading it and 3 people see it, it's I would go as far to say it's not actually the best clip in the world, right? Because no one actually can see it and acknowledge what it is. But if you're doing the right thing that gets people to watch you, then you can get more recognition for other things that you're doing. You know, like
you just hit the nail on the head, because and this is like this is the big thing. I love doing the campaign things, don't get me wrong. super fun. Love it to death. My passion is always going to be multi-kills and unique multiplayer content. And I wanted a bigger audience to see that sort of stuff, to get a bigger appreciation of it.
Yeah.
And there's so many comments I get saying, but Blitz, you don't upload multiplayer as much anymore. You're a traitor. Or you're not a montager anymore. You hate montaging now. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, don't you get that I do the campaign stuff to build up my page so then I can do the multiplayer stuff? And because it's got more of a core audience now, they're like, wow, this is really cool. I'm going to try this stuff. And that's how you get new people into it. You can't have the same 20 people for 20 years going to the same bloody multi-kills.
Yeah.
Don't you want your stuff to... Oh, yeah.
I'm really glad that we agree on that, because it gives me a bit of satisfaction, something that I've been preaching for at least definitely 2 years now to the competitive Australian guys, right? And so to try and help them build an audience so that we can bring more people to competitive Halo in Australia within the Australian community, so that when Infinite comes out, it's going to be more maintainable. And if the Australian Halo scene gets more attention on it, if there's millions of people watching Halo in Australia, then there's going to be more money invested into a competitive scene in Australia. And
it benefits them, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's what I keep trying to explain to people is trying to, but you know, you've done it, you're doing it as well. And I love to hear that, because it's a really good example for people to follow, but it's hard to do, right? And that's something that I want to get into a little bit later. And because it's going to be a little bit more of an in-depth kind of conversation. But before we do that and we get any more sidetracked, I want to know a little bit more about you kind of outside the game as well, right?
Yeah.
So did you go to uni or something? Like, what did you do, like, work-wise?
So before I was doing Halo, Halo's been the constant throughout majority of my life now. I could probably say that. It's just, I did a Bachelor of Youth Work. Before that, I did science degree. Hated it. Absolutely hated it. Don't know why I picked it, to be honest. Did that, wasn't great. Then we did youth work, bachelor's degree, kind of enjoyed that. But when I went into the industry, I worked for the government. They didn't care. They did not care about because I did it because I care about people, and the government only cared about money. Getting consistent teenagers showing up to the events and venues so they get more funding in turn. That's all they cared about. They didn't care about how you did it, what you had to do to get them through the door. And the long story short of that is I built up a after-school paced program from absolutely nothing, got probably like 50 to 100 after-school kids, like high schoolers coming across. We had like Sudanese, Tongan, Samoan, Australian, Italian. It was like super multicultural. And then they just moved us, and the entire program died within 2 weeks. And I was just like, no, well, I spent 1.5 years building that up. Yeah. And you're going to just move me and pigeonhole me into something else? No, I'm not doing that anymore. So I did that. And then even that taught me a lot of life lessons, public speaking, because I'd have to go to high schools, talk in front of because I'm only 5'7". I'm a short ass. And then I have to go and talk to people who are 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". And they're like, who is this short ass on the stage? Like, what is he doing here? Get out of my school. So to get them to actually talk to them and take me seriously, like once they hang out with me and talk to me a little bit, like, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. It definitely builds up a skill. So when I do commentaries now, I'm a lot more confident because I've spoken to 500 plus people in front of schools who are probably high schoolers are going to be the most judgy people you're ever going to meet.
Oh, for sure, man.
So once you do that, it's kind of like you can talk in front of anyone. And then, just gym on the side. Used to love gym, used to love bodybuilding. I overdid it, overloaded my neck. So I can't lift heavy anymore. I was doing lat pull downs and I compressed something, and that was kind of the end of that. Had throbbing veins all in my head and couldn't lift weights anymore. Oh, yeah. Doctors couldn't diagnose what the problem was, did all these tests, nothing at all. And even playing nowadays, if I put too much strain on my body and I get too stressed, I feel like I want to pass out. So even that limits what I can do Halo-wise. So I have to balance everything in my day around that. So that's basically what I've been doing aside from Halo for the last 6 or so years.
Wow, there you go. So right now, because of that injury that you had, do you do do you do like light stuff? Like do you go outside and walk and do hikes and
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah.
Or like,
So if I don't do any sort of training, then I'm basically bedridden and cannot move at all. It's to the point where I literally get pain in all my arms, and it goes like all the way down my back and legs. It's terrible, and it's just from one bad movement. Because I cracked my head open in primary school.
yeah,
We're just playing chase, tiggy, tag, whatever you guys call it.
yeah,
And yeah, just slipped on the wet basketball court, cracked my head open, and I think ever since that, because I get pain there sometimes, it makes the skin really tight.
yeah,
So because I pulled something in my neck, it pulls down on the scalp and pulls everything like back.
yeah,
And
yeah.
because of that, it causes extreme pain. So yeah, I do lots of body weight stuff. I do lots of basically anything. I've tried like 12, 13 different ways to try and get back to what I was at. But now my neck's playing up. My neck's starting to like other parts of my neck, like in my traps and shoulders and everything like that.
Yeah.
So even now, the body weight stuff, because I would use a weighted vest to make myself stronger, I can't do that anymore. So now I'm in the current process of picking something else.
Yeah.
So it's exactly the same with my content, finding a different way to get around stuff. And that's just what I do with everything.
Yeah, fair enough, man. That's a journey in itself, because one of the things that again we talk about it in Divine Mind a lot is youth that are watching people play computer games, someone as popular as you especially, they don't have like really enough role models, I don't think, that have a really good balance between like understanding how important it is to move, not just because of the health aspects of it, but like if you're trying to be really good at something, if you're healthy, you will be better at it. So it's good to hear you kind of say that you have a focus on it as well. What about food wise? Do you have like any diet and stuff that you follow, or do you just try and eat relatively healthy?
Yeah. So during the pandemic, absolute trash diet. So bad. Pizza, chocolate. I mean, I'm not too hard on myself about that. I get pretty stressed with content wise, coming up with a new video idea every day. I'm consistently like really tired. Like I am just exhausted 24/7. But that said, I got a bit of a belly. I was like, you know what? I really want to get back to what I was at before, because I was in good shape and I liked the way I looked then. So yeah, I have either toast or eggs on toast for Vegemite toast in the morning, banana, apple as a snack. I have something very light, maybe some Greek yogurt and some sultanas for lunch. And then dinner is just a protein, some veggies, and potato. And I can either steam it or I just pick up a frozen meal from because IGA. I don't know if you guys have IGA. You know what IGA is.
I know what IGA is, man. I miss going to the IGA.
Yeah, it's for you guys in America. It's just a little basically supermarket you can just pick up stuff from. Yeah, they call it supermarkets over there. Supermarket.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Yeah, it's so weird, especially here in Canada. Everything's really like there's a monopoly on everything. Like so, yeah. They don't have as many as us. Like we've got Coles and Woolies and IGA, and like even the petrol stations. There's so many of them. Like here, it's just like you've got they've got in Ontario. They've got the LCBO, which is like the only liquor store there is, pretty much.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Great. Yeah. So completely different. So it's good you explained it.
Yeah. So I guess like I go to Walmart and pick up just a frozen protein meal. Has good caloric intake, good a balance between things. Might be a bit high in salt, but it's not too bad. And then the other night I just throw stuff in the steamer. Very easy to prepare. And just have it like that. Yeah,
that's awesome. Okay, and what about your love life? Have you got a missus or anything like that on the scene?
Yes. I actually met my partner. You follow me on Instagram, so you probably already know this. But no, so I met my partner through Halo, actually. She lives a couple states away from me. She DM'd me one day because another guy who was a fan of my stuff said, "Oh, you should check out Mint Blitz." And then she messaged me one day. We had a lot in common. She's a PT. She's incredibly supportive. So, yeah, I mean, I got lucky, to be quite honest with you. Like, to find someone who is into Halo, loves playing Halo, is into fitness as well as me. And I guess the best thing about being with Kaylin is I can do anything with her. And I don't have to feel like I have to go, wow, I got to set this whole grand day up. I can just be with her, spend time with her, and it's just fun no matter what we do. So I guess that's the best way I can put it.
No, that's very awesome. She slid in the DMs. I love that.
She did. Yeah, she did.
And it's before you were really huge. So
yeah, actually, yeah. I only had 20K on YouTube, so
yeah. How long ago was that? How long have you guys been dating for now?
off and on, it was up until, well, actually, I was in a long-term relationship for like 6 years during mostly the entirety of Halo 5. And then that ended, and then I had about a year gap, and then met Caitlin, spoke for like 3 or 4 months, then off a bit because she stopped playing Halo, and then we think are really serious probably, it's May now, probably like, it's not too long, October last year, November last year. Yeah.
That's really awesome. Do you know the legendary 117?
Yes, the guy who has all the
Merch,
all the Halo
and
merch,
he met his partner playing Halo Reach, and now
at a Halo wedding or something, I heard.
Yeah. I love that like the Halo community has so many people in it that are so passionate about the game, that like if you can meet someone that also enjoys what you do, it's obviously a key to success. Okay, cool. I've got a few quick questions before I really want to dig into the content side of things that I'm really curious about, that I just had people message me when I mentioned I was going to be talking to you.
Yeah.
I think off the top of my head while I'm finding it, one of them was, do you prefer any of the Covenant equivalent weapons over human ones in PvP?
Beam rifle over the sniper. Beam actually has more aim assist and magnetism, so it's easy to use. I prefer the human sniper, but if I had life or death, pick one over the other, I'd pick the beam rifle any day of the week. I don't think the UNSC has an equivalent of a energy sword, but I would also pick that too. So
I guess we shotgun, sword or shotgun.
Yeah. If I had to pick between a Halo 3 sword or a Halo 3 shotgun, I would pick the sword.
Yeah.
So yeah, good analogy. What else? Weapons.
BR carbine.
No, BR's better.
Yeah, for sure.
They'd be the only ones I'd pick, Covenant over human.
Yeah, cool. And you've already answered this question, but I'll give it an opportunity if you kind of open it up anymore if you want. Is, do you prefer playing multiplayer or doing the tricky campaign challenges that you've got?
Multiplayer over campaign, but I grew up on campaign because I didn't have good internet, so it's always got a little nostalgic place in my heart that I really love about it.
Yeah, awesome. And I know the answer to this already, but which Halo is your favorite?
CE, 100%. CE and then 3. Only because the CE campaign is different from all the other campaigns, and as the games went on, it got progressively more enclosed and linear.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the open world feel of it. So Infinite is right up my alley. So I can't wait to do stuff about that. It's going to be incredible. I can already tell. And Halo 3 because I love Halo 3's multiplayer. Also love CE's multiplayer. So yeah.
And a few kind of favorite fast ones is favorite map. And then what map and game type combo are your favorites?
Favorite map would be, I don't want to say Guardian or Pit because that's really generic. I'll say Prisoner CE. I'll say Prisoner CE, and for game mode options, Damnation 2v2 is fun because Damnation 4v4, the way it's set up, everyone just sits in one spot, but 2v2 you actually have to push out to get the weapons. It's a lot of fun contesting for the weapons. That's why the only thing if CE weren't competitive and it was 2v2 competitive tournament, I would compete in it 110%. Wow. I would. That's how much I like it. Yeah. I guess maybe that's why I don't compete, because I just don't have that competitive passion that I do from CE. Because 2v2 CE stuff to me is like number one thing above all else that I love. Aside from that, standoff heavies. It's got every single vehicle, it's got every single weapon. I can do goose launching, going for multi-kills, Banshee stuff. Yeah, as far as variety goes, and bang for your buck in a game mode, that's the one I'd go to get content. Yeah.
Cool, man. And so I want to have a look at some of the things that you've done. So in Halo 5, there are a lot of instances where you're like outside the map, you're Banshee flipping, you're doing pressure launches, like a whole heap of that type of thing, right? Yeah. If it's not giving away a trade secret, How do you kind of come up with or find out those mechanics so that you can use them and then hit a clip?
I don't mind. I'm pretty open about stuff I hit. Like even in the campaign stuff, I put in the description all the skulls or the mods I use. And so if they ever want to recreate them or do them themselves, then they can feel free to do so. I've never cared too much about keeping it, oh, hush, hush, secret, secret. You can't do this. It's mine. It's all mine. I've never given a shit about that. The Banshee stuff on Halo 5 is funny. The people in America tried to recreate the stuff that I did. But the trick is you can't do it unless you're lagging. You have to be on 150 plus ping to get the object to lag slightly to actually launch you off. So a good one is the Banshee flip where I do a flip and then I get out and it launches you up.
Yeah.
Won't happen unless you're on bad connection.
Wow.
Or one where you just get out of the Banshee and look slightly right. Won't fly you off in the other direction unless you're lagging. But honestly, the way you just come up with stuff is I just, same with the campaign stuff. I have an idea, I test it or refine it. If it works, great. If it doesn't, oh well. Because the stuff you see, 90% of the stuff doesn't work. But like when I do a campaign thing, often the idea I have is very different from the end result of the clip. But I mean, it happens. It's just a creative process. Yeah. There's no shortcuts. That's the best way to put it. You got to put the time in. I know all the mechanics from all the maps, and I got all the maps memorized in my head. So even when I'm just waking up in the morning and sitting on my phone, I'll go through because I got a whiteboard over there. You saw the interview, so you saw the whiteboard thing, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And I go through every map. I go in my mind. I'm like, so I'm playing through the map. All right, so I want a hunter clip for tomorrow. And so I go through every single hunter encounter in the entire Halo series. Then I see one that I like. I'm like, all right, is it an open area? Can I kind of do something? Can I move the hunters to an area that I want? Because a lot of people said, oh, why don't you just spawn the enemy in? And I'm like, that feels kind of cheap. Like I want it to be within the realms of reality so people can actually do it themselves. So yeah, that's why C is really good, because you can actually move the hunters to wherever you want them and they won't retreat once you push them past a certain barrier. So that's kind of good. But just a creative process.
And how long do you think you put into coming up with the idea before you then go to actually action it?
Some days you just get ideas and you just like, yep, I'm doing that. Like last night, I got sent a mod that lets you actually ride on the Spartans of another Spartan. So I can piggyback off Spartans now, which is giving me like a whole week worth of stuff to come up with. So in that regard, you can do anything. You get an idea in 2 seconds, turns out great. You get the thumbnail in your head instantly, you get the title instantly, and it's all done within 2 hours. You hit the clip within half an hour. It's all done in 3 hours. Fantastic. Then there's days that I'll try stuff and it won't work at all. It'll be 9 hours straight of just pain and suffering. Everything I try doesn't work. I have no idea for a title. I've got no thumbnail. It's 2 a.m. and I'm bloody exhausted. And then I just use one of my backup clips that I just have just because I'm going to bed.
Yeah, I get that. I know that feeling as well, just trying to keep up with Instagram and everything at the same time. So, but I love that. So on average, how much time each day do you reckon you put into it, like on average?
For Halo in general, I wake up at 9, get on at 11, don't get off till 1 a.m. Aside from eating and training, I'm pretty much on all day because I'm trying to make it a thing for Infinite. So that's a lot of time. That's like 8, 9, 10 hours a day, just because obviously you have the campaign stuff and the campaign stuff is really good, but then you want to maintain the multiplayer skill. You don't want to lose the skill of multiplayer. And honestly, being an Australian and playing multiplayer, if I was American, I could probably put in a quarter of the time for the same amount of skill. But because of the lag, it makes it very hard. I went to 10 sensitivity because I wanted to do something new. On good connection, easy. On 180 ping, impossible. I could drop my sensitivity back down because it actually gives you less magnetism. So yeah, like 2 hours to come up with a clip, 3 hours to hit the clip. That's 5. Then you've done no multiplayer. You have to at least do 3 to 4 hours of multiplayer just so you can keep hitting killionaires. So you want to be good when Infinite comes out. So you got to put the time in.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, I'm definitely not the best player, but I'm decent. And when I moved from Australia to America, people that I played with online said, how did you get so much better so quickly?
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I moved to a place where the internet's consistent, and that's it. That was the only difference in how I play. And you know what? It'd be a really great experiment if we could just one day have an org that wanted to bring some of the best Halo players from America to Australia and get them to play online to kind of experience it, and then take that information back, because I think that would be...
Well, I know when I stream, because in MCC, if you search with a full team of 8 in BTB or a full team of 4 in 4v4, and then you match 4 other Australians, you actually get Australian hosts because I'm the leader of the party and I'm Australian.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever those Americans or people from the UK is much worse, match me, or they play in my lobby, they're like, I don't know how you play on this. This is unplayable. And they just leave within a game because it's just so horrendously bad.
Yeah.
And from the clips people might see, that doesn't look too bad. It doesn't look super duper delayed. It's got a little bit of delay, but it doesn't seem too detrimental. But then when you actually play it, it's just shit.
Yeah, it's the fact that I think your mind works in one way with the lag, right? So like okay, there's a chance that shot might not register, or like if you're playing Halo 3, I have to lead my shot this far, right? Like there's a lot of things that you're thinking about like that, and then with the connection changes, all of those little nuances change as well. So it can make it really difficult, but. So this is a kind of another question that's content creation orientated, which is you do so much, right? Like you've got, like I said, all these different social media platforms. How did you get to the point where you can be consistently uploading to each thing? Did you start off, like obviously you just started with YouTube and then you kind of started adding in things from there? Do you think it was just like that? Like with working out, I talk about progressive overload being really important. Do you think you have like an element of progressive overload with your content creation that let you get to this point where you could be consistent across lots of platforms?
It's just routine. It's literally just routine. It's the number one thing I could ever give, because I know you wanted to give me a bit of like give advice. It's just routine. I wake up, I have breakfast, I do my social media posts. I will either go work out or I'll play free for all until the population dies. Then I'll go work out. Then I'll be about 3 or 4 p.m. I start to think about what I'm going to upload tomorrow. I have that little 8-hour gap between I wake up and 4 p.m. where I don't think about uploading anything. And I just appreciate that I've put out a video that I'm happy with, and I'm watching the views of that. And if it goes up, I'm really happy. And that's really important, to take time to appreciate stuff you've done. Otherwise, you're going to burn yourself out. 5 p.m., start to think about dinner, start to work on the clip. If the lobbies are good on Halo, I'll do matchmaking till about 8 p.m. And then the last 4 hours of the day before like 12, I will actually go and do the clip for the campaign. And then probably like 12 to 1 a.m., I'll edit the clip, render that out, do a thumbnail. Then I'll do a community post for YouTube, that's doing really well at the moment. Schedule a Twitter post, because the optimal time to post for Twitter is 12:15 a.m. or 1:15 a.m. if you're Australian. That's when the Americans are waking up, so that's the time to post it. And routine, just do it every day, fake it. Even if you're exhausted, you're going to be exhausted.
And so a question that I get asked, and I want to answer this before you do, just so that if you say the same thing as me, I can feel verified, right? But the question is does it have to be quality content all the time? What I generally say to people is that, especially right now when you're small, it's more about putting out the content consistently, and making sure that it's slightly above, that general standard, and getting used to being able to post regularly. Watching, if you can understand it, right? Watching the stats in the background of your insights on YouTube and on other social medias to see how those things do more things that work, do less of the things that don't. But I said, I generally give the advice that it's more important to just be posting consistently, especially while you're building an audience, and then you can work on the quality of content. And you know what? If you're posting consistently, the quality of content is going to improve on its own as well. Do you agree with that? Would you add anything else to it?
It's funny because you have to be obviously above average to start with. You can't be like average Joe posting content. It's not going to get any traction to begin with. Best thing I could do starting, if you want like advice for starting out, yes, you need to build up your skills for video editing. You have to be able to edit all your stuff yourself. You have to be completely self-sustainable and learn those skills before anything else. So yes, being consistent is definitely gonna do that.
Yeah.
The best advice Pingy ever gave me was like, Remy, you're above average. Post above average stuff, even if it's a bit lower in quality, but post every day. And that's not because you want to post a lot. It's because all of these social media platforms prefer people to post daily. It's the reality of the situation. If I could get away with posting one clip a week and having the same amount of growth, I would do that. Yes. But YouTube, for some ungodly reason, has made it so you have to upload daily. And if I don't upload every single day, it's just going to go down the pooper. So,
and so how?
Yeah, I agree.
How do you figure that out? Right? Do you figure that out by watching YouTube videos and like doing research with content creators that put out that type of stuff, or is there some kind of Bible that you get when you hit 10K subs and it tells you all of the changes that are
it's literally just you. I've been around for such a long time now. Single clips a long time ago used to be very popular, and it became commentaries. MW2 nuke gameplays became the thing. Gameplay commentaries were popular. They died off. Montages died off. Then because the core demographic on YouTube is kids. It's 12-year-olds. So whatever's popular in their circles is going to be pretty popular. Yeah. My core demographic is 18 to 25, 25 to 32. I've got a very small amount of people who are under the age of 18. I've actually got a pretty big demographic in the 50 to 65-year-old range. Huge, actually. It's quite large. About 20% of people. Seniors, like 65 and over. So I don't know why. I have no idea why.
It's probably they've got the nostalgia of watching their kids play it.
Probably. Like this is like 20,000 people on YouTube who are 65 and over who love watching Halo stuff. And I even know my stream. Shout out to Wicked. She's from Queensland and she loves Halo stuff, and she's basically the mom of the group. So I mean, like it's pretty cool. But yeah, it's kind of whatever the kids want at the moment. TikTok became popular and blew up. Yeah. So YouTube couldn't have that. Obviously, YouTube wants a monopoly on everything, as all businesses do. So they started pushing the short stuff hard. But then some of the big creators are like, well, I'm not getting any views at all on my longer content. So then they're like, all right, well, we'll balance it a bit more evenly. So then started this year, the short stuff still does amazingly well, but now the longer stuff also does well. So now I've slowly started to go back to the longer stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Really good insights there that I think a lot of people don't even recognize. So that's awesome. Thank you. The next kind of question is, if you look at all of the social medias that you've got right now outside of YouTube, because your YouTube's at 104K, it's doing really well. Like you said, you kind of add like a ceiling for that. If you had to pick one of the other social medias to focus on, where's your focus at the moment?
It's probably easier if I just run through each one and then just say the potential of either of them. So Twitter at the moment is very funny. Twitter's implemented a new thing that basically talks about game categories or topics you enjoy. So if you put the headline topic that basically says, okay, so I will do a post tomorrow, and it's going to have the word Halo in it. If you go through my Twitter, you could go through and chuck this on screen or whatever. Yeah. Every single Twitter post I have at 1:15 a.m. will have Halo is fun, Halo Infinite waiting room, Halo Infinite. What are you going to do when Halo Infinite comes out? Halo, 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 Halo. And that's the way you manipulate the algorithm on Twitter. So that's got a lot of potential. That's really like, I can work with that a lot. Yeah. Instagram, I'm actually going to be revamping very soon, because I've noticed as a guy who does Halo Infinite new stuff, and all he does is says, what do you think of this? Or what do you think of that? And I see it has like 200 comments, and I'm like, I'm busting my ass to get all these videos out. What if I do one video, one screenshot, I ask their opinion on the screenshot thing, and I do my video earlier in the day. Do 2 uploads instead. I think it'll do quite a lot better, so I'm going to try that. And then TikTok's a funny one. TikTok, you can have 0 followers and get the same amount of views as someone with 1 million. Yeah. It is all algorithm, and the way the algorithm works, and it's the same with YouTube. This is the way all algorithms work. So if you're wondering how it works, this is the way it goes. First of all, TikTok will put your video out to 100 people. If a portion of those people like it, more obviously, if a majority of people like it, it'll go to 1,000 people.
Yeah.
Of that 1,000 people, if say over 1 in 10 of people like that, so 1 in 10 is kind of the golden rule, especially with YouTube. If I have 2,000 likes and 20,000 views, awesome video. If I have above that, 2,500 likes, 20,000 views, amazing video, and it's going to get pushed out to heaps of people. Same with TikTok. If you get, as it expands to a larger core audience, you want it to cater to those people. So that's why some of these launches, even if I don't find them as amazing as some of the stuff I spent ages on, that's another thing. I'll spend hours on a clip for no views. I'll do a silly launching clip, 100,000.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. People are people. It's just, that's the way the algorithms are. So.
Yeah, of course. Well, and again, really good insight on all of those things. I think that people, content creators, hopefully, that get this far into the podcast are going to hear that stuff, and it's going to motivate them to go.
Gold mine of information, dude.
Oh, it really is, man. It really is. And, you know, I take a lot of that stuff on board, even just with the stuff that I do with Divine Mind, for example. I had no idea on the Twitter stuff. I have a really good insight for how Instagram works. TikTok, we started, couldn't get enough traction with the clips that we were posting, and even though we were doing consistently, and it was taking too long to get that organized. So I fell off with that. But I understand, again, it's got that potential, like you said, you can have zero, and if it works, it just catches fire. You know, so, you know, got to put a little bit more time into that as well. So yeah, really a gold mine of stuff that I think has, you know, even just me hearing that's motivated me for the way that I'm going to be implementing and doing stuff, but both my personal brand, but also the business as well. So thank you. I appreciate it. And I hope other people really do get something out of it, man, because it's, you know, you don't hear that type of stuff within hours of listening to other people talk about their, you know, golden rules for how I grew my account and all that type of stuff. So awesome. I want to kind of ask questions about, now you've worked with some really big brands in the last like 6 months, especially, I think like KFC, Pringles, you know, and even you're a grassroots member with 3 for 3 and with Halo. So that's fantastic. What's it been like working with those brands?
Well, honestly, a lot of those brands are waiting for Infinite now. Grassroots, not so much. Like they want to build it up heading into Infinite. But a lot of those brands, yeah, it was great. I personally know the people behind it. So I know the guy over at KFC Gaming. I'm not going to say his name because then everyone's going to pester it. But really nice guy. He's always loved Halo. That's the thing. A lot of these big brands have people 25 to 30 running them, or even like say 22 to 30 running them. So Halo being such a big staple back then, they love Halo as a series and they want it to do well. Yeah. So if Halo does well, they'll put their content around it.
Yeah. The
thing is, since Halo isn't popular in the mainstream, and this is a good example, KFC Gaming had a clip-off competition. Submit your best clip, win $500, $200, $100. I had to promote the shit out of it just to get enough submissions. So it wasn't viable. And now I've noticed they're doing Warzone because Warzone's popular. Fortnite's popular. Whatever's popular at the moment, because that's what gets the mentions. So these big brands have interest in the title, but you need to be able to, they need to be able to take stuff back to the high ups and say, yes, this is worth me doing.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big thing with the big streamers, big content creators, big brands in general. They would support Halo, but if the numbers aren't there and they need to earn a living, when push comes to shove, they can't do it.
Yeah. No, awesome. So, and what was the experience like for you, say, with any of them? Like, how did you approach them? Did they approach you?
They approached me and it was really positive. Got nothing really negative to say. They, I mean, I did promoted streams for them. I said if there's anything they want to do in future, and they will probably approach me for Infinite, in all honesty, because I try to treat everything super professional. Give it 120% when I do the promoted streams for them. Yeah. I mean, it's the most you can do, really. Time will tell, honestly. I mean, KFC sent me out the limited edition 100K hoodie. So I've got that just in my room. I got my Pringles hoodie that's just sitting. They're all folded up in a bedroom and I refuse to wear them because I want to look after them. So it's good.
Yeah, that's cool. So just because I think this is something that a lot of people don't understand in the gaming space, right? When they approached you, is it that they kind of say, hey, we've got this idea, we'd like you to be involved with it? And then you kind of go back and forth and say yes, and then they send you like a contract or like an overview, or like how does work?
So it's they first of all, they come across, they're like, we have this idea. And then me being the Halo content creator, I'm like, all right, so you want to do this. So I'm like, to make it as popular as possible, we have to do this, 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 and this. If you want to go ahead with it and you want me to do it, these are my terms and this is the way I'm doing it. This will give you the best results, the best interaction, and the most bang for your buck for what you're paying me to do. Most of them, because I can just show them my channel, like, yeah, he knows what he's doing, do it. Then they'll send me a contract with the details, sign it, I'll do it. It's not super complex, but it really is like, I tell them, like, I'm like, this is a really good idea, but you want to be playing this game mode, or you want to be playing this mode instead. You want me to, one, you want me to have fun because it's going to be beneficial for the stream. Two, you want me getting multi-kills because that's going to be more exciting for the stream. You'll have more highlights, equals more views and more money for you guys. And that's just it's just general stuff, really. It's just for their benefit. And obviously they're more than happy to accommodate me because it works out good for them.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, in the end of the day, they got to get paid, even if they have the passion for the game. That's the end thing for businesses. So awesome. That's really cool insight as well. What's been your favorite brand to work for?
I mean, KFC is always, I love KFC. So I'd have to say KFC. Yeah, that's a pretty simple answer, to be honest.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got a few things I want to ask about Infinite before we wrap up. So is there anything else around the content creation side of things that you think would add value for anybody watching that I didn't ask a question around that you want to add in?
With Infinite, if you want to be a content creator for Infinite, upload now. That's the best advice I could give. You're starting off your channel and you can't get traction, especially on YouTube. Get a network. That's another big thing. Network with a creator. You can get a shout out from a creator to get you 300 subs, 400, 500. You can get the first 500 and you upload consistently. You have one singular clip that pops off and it gets a bit of traction. You're set. You're fine. It's just getting that initial following and then be consistent. Aside from that, for Infinite, it's going to be a lot of new players. There's going to be a lot of new content creators. There's going to be a lot of big content creators who are going to steal the views from all the loyal creators who have been around for years and years and years. And that's just the reality of the situation. But things will work out. Things will be good. My overall outlook for the game is it's going to be great. I feel like 343, and I've had conversations with them about it. They feel like it's make or break. So, I think that that's a general consensus among the community. They fuck up Infinite, it's done. Really, it's Microsoft have put all their everything. Really, you can see by the amount of effort they've put into it so far. It really is an all or nothing type deal. Halo is the flagship title. They want it to be the flagship title, so it has to be worthy of a AAA flagship brand because it's the chief, Master Chief. For sure. Awesome. I love that insight. So, okay, for yourself as well, what are some must-have things in Infinite for it to be successful? I hate saying has to cater to the casuals because that's not exactly what I mean, but it has to provide younger audience. You have to cater to the younger audience somewhat. You want the next generation of people. You can't have 65-year-olds playing Halo and they're the core demographic. You need to get the new generation in because eventually then the game will die out. You want it to be around for years to come. So you have to make sacrifices. You want to keep legacy stuff to keep the old fans happy. You need to have enough new things that it's going to encapsulate what younger audiences want to see. And it's a very fine balance. I don't envy 343. It's a very, very hard tightrope to walk. You want to have something that is identifiable so you don't alienate old-time fans. But you want to reinvent Halo so it actually caters to newer players. Because as someone who actually worked with teenagers for a long time and being a Halo person, they would say, oh, Halo, that's that old game that no one plays anymore, right? And I'm like, okay, Infinite's coming out.
You're like, say that again? Say
yeah, pretty much. So I was like, Halo Infinite, They think it should have sprint. All of them said it should have sprint. All of them.
Yeah.
99%. I was the 1% who said, no, I don't mind it either way. They're like, no, it has to have sprint.
Mm-hmm.
So as much as that pisses off all the classic people, what I guess 343 has to weigh up, what can they keep the same to keep people happy? And what can they change to like invite newer people into the thing? As far as matchmaking goes, there's something called True Skill 2, which will balance and protect the noobs. So I don't think they'll have a rough time.
Do you think that is particularly a good thing though? So I've got a very strong opinion on the skill-based matchmaking and how that type of stuff works, but I'd love to get your opinion first. How do you think it should work? If you don't mind giving a quick overview of how it currently works, what do you reckon?
Yep. So it's funny you say this because my opinion has changed on a lot. I've played and lived through really strict skill-based matching on Halo 5, as you know, and then MCC. It's you can match anyone, but yet it'll balance teams, so you'll have poor, like I'll have to carry. If not, we get thrashed. I don't believe full teams of 4 should match a solo queue player ever, because obviously I play solo most of the time. It's impossible to beat a coordinated team of 4 unless they suck. So in that regard, I don't like it. The way it works currently is True Skill 2. You basically have to match someone within your skill level, or you're not going to match them. I could go into detail, a lot of detail, as to how that really works. But the way video games are shaped nowadays, it's not based on skill, even though it's a skill-based matching system. It's percentages. So it wants to keep your win rate of 50. So if you do really well one game, it's going to give you really bad teammates on purpose, with also teammates who have won their last game, and then you're going to lose. And those people who beat you, then their next game, they will lose. So it keeps you at 50%. So even if you're shit, or even if you're good, it's going to give you a participation trophy. If you're going to win this game, you're going to lose this game. Yeah. So when I get the games that I'm going to lose, half the time I just chill out and don't do anything, and I don't throw the game. But what's the point of trying? Because it stacked the system against me. There's no point. And then I get a good lobby the next game, and then I try my ass off to try to get as much content as I can. So I mean, it's funny the way it works, the way things are. It's all because obviously the core community they want to keep around. So
yeah, cool. That's a really detailed answer as well. So I appreciate you going to so much detail there, because I think one of the reasons that I stuck with Halo rather than getting obsessed with Call of Duty was the skill gap of Halo 3, which was my first Halo, right? Yeah. And the ability to go into social slave, for example, get absolutely trashed by someone, and then check and see that they've got a 50 and be like, whoa, that's what a 50 is. Like that is, and then go into ranked, play people against my own, play people within that, 10 kind of ranked skill gap, and it slowly improve, get up towards that level where I'm now versing those people that are 50. And that's what kind of kept me ingrained with the game.
Yeah.
I feel like at the moment, there's a little bit of a gap there, right? Where bad play, like if you go on Twitch, for example, and you watch through a whole heap of the people that are playing, they're in that platinum kind of level, And
it's either average or insanely good. There's no in between.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas we should really try and kind of, grab those people from down at that level and help them want to improve or play more to improve. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like they get beaten so bad, they just quit the game nowadays. And as much as I wasn't a fan of Joshua Menk, the reality of the situation is if noobs get trounced, they just leave the game and they don't play anymore. Yeah. And the thing is, when you get a smaller population like Halo, the way it is now, the first thing to die, and I always remember like on Halo 3, it had a skill distribution chart of the population per level. You'd have 1 to 50, and 1 would be super high. And then as you get to about 20, 30, it'd be almost really low, and then 40, straight up again to 50. So you'd have all these people at 50, all these people at 1, not many bridging the gap in between. And that's always been the case, even when Halo 3 was at its peak. So when the population is bigger, you'll have that median level, which will make the ecosystem healthy, and you'll have much fairer games. But when you lose that and you take that out, you get lopsided games because there just isn't the population to support it.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
You can't do much when there's no one playing.
Yeah, of course. Well, I hope. What do you think the ranking system needs to be like in Infinite to keep people playing for longer?
See, if you asked 2015 Remy, he would have said social being like old school social and you can thrash noobs. Nowadays, I'm kind of like, ranked should be ranked. Ranked is ranked. It should be based on the basically like an elo system of whatever your rank you is, and then it has like say you're 1600, you can match like 1550, 1650. That's it. That's pretty straightforward, right? That's just standard. And social being, it's hard to say because if you introduce skill-based matchmaking into social, you can't play with friends. That's a big problem with Halo 5. I could never play with my two best friends because it said we were too good. Even if they were just messing around and not playing seriously, we were too good for everyone else in the. Then I'm not being egotistical or anything. It's just the game would think that our combined skill coordinated is too much for the other people to play with in our region.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. I would love to say you can match anyone because then I can actually have a social time and have fun and play. But you have to account for the people who are just going to go and stomp people. You're going to have team of 8s who are going to manipulate that in BTB and thrash everyone. You're going to have teams of 4 who are going to go into objective game modes and thrash and farm everyone. How do you stop that?
Yeah. It's not for us to answer.
You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Yeah.
There's always going to be bad eggs who are going to ruin it for everyone.
Yeah. Well, I really hope that they can find a balance for because, it's the way I look at it is I don't spend all day thinking about it, but I really hope there is somebody that spends all day thinking about it.
Yeah.
And what I love about the outlook of Halo Infinite is that it's meant to be a 10-year-old game. So hopefully if we try something and it doesn't work, we can try
refine it. Yeah.
We can kind of work on it as long as it doesn't come out in a state like MCC did. I think that, we've got a really good platform to work on.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on a Infinite battle royale mode?
It'd be good because the way I view this, and it's okay. I'm going to use the analogy of the hot tub streams from Twitch, right? People say, "Oh, okay, you shouldn't have the hot tub stream on Twitch." Now you take the hot tub stream away. Are those viewers going to stay on Twitch? No, they're probably going to go to a porn site or they're going to go to something else. I hate using that as an analogy. You have the Battle Royale game mode. You take Battle Royale away. Are they going to still play Halo? Probably not. They're only going to play because it's Battle Royale and that's what they've been raised on. So if you have Battle Royale, you have a trickle-down effect that actually puts those viewers into the other niche game modes. That's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah.
So it would have an overall positive effect on the gaming community as a whole. And that's why Warzone has been so successful because it's taken those big Warzone people and put it into the other arena-based game modes, and the population has been thriving because of it. The most popular line I've seen from Call of Duty is that all the marketing have done has paled in comparison to the success of Warzone. So it's a really good thing for the community if there is an official dev-made Battle Royale game mode.
Yeah.
If it isn't there, you're not. I mean, I explained it. That just it is what it is. Yeah.
You're missing. It's a big opportunity to bring more people into the game.
Pretty much.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. I think we work with a group called Infection Hub quite a lot. I don't know if you've heard of them. If you haven't heard of them, I'm going to send you a link afterwards because these guys they're young and they're working hard at building the infection community, right? And they've got a really solid community of people there. But it's the same thing. If their community thrives, it trickles down. There's people that will go from competitive to that, from social to that, and it kind of really helps benefit it all. But we're head over that hour time now. So there's 2 questions that I like to finish up with, just so that we don't keep, because I could talk to you forever. Really, everything we've talked about today has been fantastic and golden. So I really appreciate that.
No problem.
Yeah, everybody as well. If you're not already, for some reason, following Mint in the description to the video, if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're listening to this as a podcast on Spotify or iTunes or any of those type of places, if you just click more underneath the episode, all of Mint's links in the description there will take you to watching him on Twitch or any of the other social medias that he's got. Obviously, mine will be there as well as Divine Minds. So definitely go and check that all out. But before we finish up, 2 questions that I ask everybody is, if you could see yourself 5 years from now, what dream reality of Mint Blitz look like? Are you someone that have got kids? Have you bought your own house? Are you traveling around the world playing Infinite? What's the dream reality for you 5 years from now?
Dream reality would be 500k subs, with a professional editor who does all my YouTube content, so I can just stream, and then I can just do my campaign stuff and upload that whenever I feel like it. Obviously, having an editor would free up so much time. Have all my gym stuff sorted, so I have none of this like stupid injury crap going on. That would be great, but God knows that will ever happen. And yes, I would like to say that having like some sort of investment properties that I can get passive income from is very important to me. As it is at the moment, I'm doing crypto and all that sort of stuff, and then I'm going to obviously funnel passive income into that, and then take YouTube ad revenue and put it into other stuff. So that would be a goal. What that's going to look like, I can't say too much, but yeah, that would be a rough idea of what I'd like to see. I will be 32 in 5 years, so I would ideally, like, if things go well with Caitlin, I would assume we'd be living together by then. So yeah.
Awesome, man. Cool. I love that. That's fantastic. I asked that question because I really like the idea of like catching up with you again in about a year's time and seeing how we kind of progress, if it's still the same thing, you know? The last question as well is obviously Monza tagged you in for this episode. And, a big part of the reason why we did this is I didn't want to randomly be approaching people to do the episode. To
kick her ass.
Yeah, and people be like, no, I'm not doing it. So who's someone that you think would add a lot of value to the conversation that would sit down and kind of have the same kind of chat with me?
I already thought about this. My nomination would be Real Life Spartan. You know who he is, surely.
Yeah.
He's been around a very long time as well. And he's built up a core audience in a very different way than I have. That's the best way I can put it. Real Life Spartan. He's all around wholesome.
Yeah.
He has a lot of really good values. He's recently become a dad. So I would recommend him.
Excellent. Well, I'll be in his DMs, but I'll let you reach out to him first and let him know that Divine Mind will be reaching out to him. So
she never let me know that.
Yeah. She nominated you and Rami. You know, the other
Rami and Remy are very original.
Yeah. So, but I'm glad that you responded to me without her even messaging. So thank you again so much for your time. And that's pretty much everything that we got for this episode. I really appreciate your time. I think we went a little bit over the hour there, but everything we talked about was absolutely golden. Man, you're honestly, you're a legend, and the amount of work that you're doing and the work ethic that you've got is absolutely incredible. And I really hope that more Australian players in particular, because that's where my passion lays with the Australian players, can kind of take from your legacy and what you're doing. And hopefully when Infinite comes out, we'll have a whole lot more people with really, great communities. And then, Fred's the other owner of Divine Mind. We can look at flying as many people as want to over to America to play competitively and doing all that type of stuff, but they have to have that value there as well, and start building things up. So I really appreciate you talking, man. Was there anything else you wanted to add before we finish up?
Thanks for having me. That's pretty much it. It's nice to talk about things because it lets me self-reflect. The most important thing I like about doing podcasts is it lets me reflect on my content, reflect on what I'm doing, plan a little bit, because while I talk about what I've done, gives me ideas for what I'm going to do in the future. So it's always good to reevaluate what I'm doing.
Awesome, man. Absolutely love it. Thank you again so much. We're going to end it there. Guys, if you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, please leave a comment anywhere below and let me know things to improve on. I read through all the comments, even though we don't get too many, and I make sure that I implement that into improving the content for next time. If you look in the description to this video, there's going to be chapters that will actually highlight all the questions that we talked through, so it can be easy for you to find. That was the suggestion that we got. So if you have a suggestion, pass it on to me and I'll make sure that I'm implementing them. Thank you again, Mint, Blitz, or Remy, for your time, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode of the podcast.